Kentucky Derby.
Now they move around the turn. The leader, War Admiral, 2.5 for green.
That's what it is in the center of the racetrack. The Adams Sloop drawing alongside again.
War Emblem is still there. War Emblem is pulling away. He's got another gear. Yeah, the Swiss they come in the Derby. Wheel away takes command. Lionheart is all heart. Smarty Jones is all out. And here is the first undefeated winner of the Kentucky Derby since Seattle's Slow of 1976.
Good morning and happy Monday of Kentucky Derby week. Lots of action this past weekend trickling into today. A couple of Kentucky Derby, a trio in fact, of Derby workers expected here on a Monday morning under the Twin Spires of Churchill Downs. It's time for the morning workout show, and it is presented by Twin Spires Fast. Temperature in the low 50s, but on the rise. It is a beautiful Monday here in Louisville. Let's take a look at the headlines. Journalism, sovereignty, very impressive in their final Kentucky Derby tune-ups. If journalism is King Kong, sovereignty might be Godzilla. Likely pace factors, East Avenue, Rodriguez also looked good in their morning workouts yesterday. In need of a defection, Kentucky Derby hopeful Baeza set for a local breeze here this morning. Hope to catch that on the workout show. Citizen Bull coal battle, two others who are expected to work this morning as well. Joe Christopher and Tony Kalo, step by step, leading into the return of the races tomorrow, championship day Tuesday, all the way until Wednesday, Thurby, Oaks Day, Kentucky Derby Day. We've got the draws for all those cards, Tony.
A lot of handicapping to be done, Joe, that's for sure. I'm a little behind, but we'll get caught up in a hurry trying to evaluate all these morning workouts, the gallops. It's been a lot of fun, and it gets more confusing each and every time I see a different horse. Oh, look how good he looks. It's like a kid in a candy shop over here.
When I'm on this show, my alarm is set for 3:10 every morning to do the prep, to shower, to drive here. For all of you watching, this is still early in the morning. A mild jog, a couple cups of coffee, maybe a Red Bull, but what better way to get your energy going here on a Monday than bringing in James Scully, the muscle man, into the show, and he's here to tell you his thoughts about this year's Kentucky Derby and Oaks horses. James, welcome.
Good morning, Joe, Tony. Yes, I'm so excited to be back at Churchill Downs, my first morning here on the work show. And I love the build-up to the Kentucky Derby and Oaks. It's been fun watching the last week and a half of the work show from home. But I'm just giddy to get to see these horses on the track. We're going to have a busy morning. Got 3 Kentucky Derby workers. And for more, let's throw it to the backstretch. Caitlin Free.
Good to be with you again, James. Haven't been together yet this morning work show, but we've done it the last few years together. So always a fun occasion to be on this show with you. And of course, on the broadcast together too. You mentioned it, 3 potential Kentucky Derby workers here this morning. Citizen Bull, Coal Battle, and Baeza are scheduled to do something out here this morning. I had a chance to talk to Bob Baffert during the post position draw. I asked him about the blinkers with Citizen Bull, what that situation was. He thought about taking the blinkers off, but they are going to stay on for the Kentucky Derby. He told me he was glad he made that decision with Citizen Bull drawing post number 1 as far as other Derby horses are concerned. Saw American Promise schooling over here in the shoe for a while. He was kind of jogging around in circles a little bit. I think maybe the coach was thinking about some of those Japanese training styles. He galloped around the track a couple times as well. So good to see him out here this morning.
All right, thank you, Caitlin. And yes, we had the post position draw for the Oaks and the Kentucky Derby this past Saturday night during the opening night program here at Churchill. Let's take a look at that field, Tony. And, the easy first impression would be to see all the speed that's drawn to the inside, including the Baffert duo.
Yeah, Baffert with the post 1 and post 4. Lots of speed to the inside. I like Final Gambit's draw, a bona fide late closer who can just save ground as long as he wants and then swing to the outside through the turn. Reminiscent of his Jeff Ruby victory.
Another post position draw winner, potentially East Avenue with post 12. He can kind of sit, if he's capable of doing so, behind the early speed to his inside, kind of make his own race. Owen Almighty, number 20, also has speed. Not a good draw for him. As we take a look at the AE looking in, it is still Baeza, needs 1 defection to get into the Kentucky Derby field.
Yeah, we're hoping he gets in, Joe.
During the course of the Kentucky Derby Morning Work Show, you got horses that you like based on their races, the form, et cetera, et cetera. There are a lot of horses, Tony, that grow on you during the course of the last couple of weeks.
Well, obviously, Burnham Square is the one that's growing on all of us. He has looked sensational in the morning, and he is moving up the rankings each and every day.
Horse that's been growing on me is Chunk of Gold, who I got to see a couple of times in Louisiana during the course of the prep season. And we've got a Kentucky Derby maiden trainer, the conditioner of Chunk of Gold, standing by with Caitlin Free. Caitlin?
Well, thank you, Joe. And I think it's probably fair to say at this point, the Chunk of Gold is definitely one of the wise guy horses in this year's Kentucky Derby. His price going down every day at this point. Pleased to be joined here by Ethan West, trainer of Chunk of Gold, and from our home turf at Turfway Park. And we kind of talked a little bit off camera, just the experience with the media, talking to a lot of people that you don't know at this point. With your first Kentucky Derby, has this just been something that you've enjoyed, or kind of a little stressful at this point?
A little bit of both. It has been stressful, but it has been a lot of fun too. Wouldn't trade these problems for anything.
So this is a horse that you have had at Turfway Park, training at your main base for basically his entire career. You left him there for his final breezes coming into this race. What are some of the major benefits you think training over at the Tapeta versus getting a breeze in here?
That's home for him. He's comfortable there. He prepped there for the Risen Star in the Louisiana Derby, handled that well, figured we weren't going to change anything, and we'd get him down here last minute after his last breeze.
Broke his maiden at Turfway Park, as well as running second in a stakes race there. Impressive performance. Went on to those 2 second-place finishes at Fairgrounds. And you said before that he's an all-around dirt horse and not to worry about those performances on the Tapeta.
No, he handled the Tapeta well, but I think when we got him down to the Louisiana for the Risen Star, he handled it much better. He got across the ground a lot better. His action got a little smoother. He's not the smoothest going horse if you watch his Tapeta races, but on the dirt it definitely levels him out.
The post-position draw was a couple of days ago. Travis Stone said this horse was the hidden beneficiary of all the horses that drew in that race, post-position number 19. Would you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I was a little deflated at first, and I actually talked to Travis, and he kind of picked me back up. And, we should get a decent trip. A lot of the speed should clear. The closer should drop back. Hopefully, Jareth will be able to just tuck right in there going to that first turn.
When I heard Travis say that, I had a feeling maybe he mentioned that to you. Always good to get some wisdom from him.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, best of luck, Ethan, and enjoy this experience.
Thank you so much.
Ethan West, trainer of Chunk of Gold, bringing one here for the home team with us at Turfway Park.
You see him running second there behind Tistastic in the Louisiana Derby. And we handicap these races, we make picks, we bet on them. And at the end of the race, a couple different reactions you can have. If Chunk of Gold wins and I don't cash a ticket, I'm still going to be happy for Ethan, 32-year-old trainer, his wife Paige, just good people, and what an experience for them.
Yeah, they must be really thrilled, and I'm very happy for both of them.
Ethan's first Kentucky Derby starter. Same with Lonnie Briley. 40 years of age and difference between the two of those. Mike McCarthy had a Kentucky Derby starter last year and endlessly split the field as a long shot. Much different scenario for him here this year with everybody's consensus favorite.
And I bet he likes the situation greatly. He has the top horse. He has King Kong, undefeated in 4 starts around 2 turns. The lone defeat, a one-turn affair. He's the horse. He looks the part. He's the horse to beat, Joe.
Take a look at the workout from yesterday. Umberto Rispoli, Kentucky Derby jockey aboard. 101 2/5, 13-3, 25-4. 37-3, gallops out 113-3, 126-4, and just look at how smoothly he moves over the ground, Tony, without even trying.
Yeah, powerful horse, covers the ground pretty effortlessly, has a big stride, just looks the part. I've been talking about how he's perfectly proportioned. Look at the neck, shoulder, and chest, matching up very nicely with the hind end. Been nothing but impressed. Love the coat, love the coat.
Just absolutely glides over the racetrack. James Scully joining us, giving us his first impressions. And James, this is the Kentucky Derby favorite. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I've been impressed. I mean, journalism. He ran the fastest race in the field, winning the Santa Anita Derby. Overcame a troubled trip in that race. Was excited to see him here at Churchill Downs, and like Tony said, he's a big, good-looking horse that's just so smooth moving and going to bring a finishing kick to the stretch run of the Kentucky Derby.
Trainer Mike McCarthy's barn has been buzzing all week leading up to the Derby. Let's get his thoughts on his favorite.
I sure hope so, yeah. I would have been happy pretty much anywhere. My horse is fast enough. He's tactical, so I thought 8's perfect for him. The history of the Derby is obviously usually a pretty vibrant opening quarter mile. He'll be part of that, probably just back off the speed. I think there'll be plenty of room for him to move. Just a nice leg stretcher. I thought he got over the racetrack well, got to see the whole place. Umberto seemed like he was very happy. Jury your peers is kind of, complimenting your horse and stuff. So, look, this horse could have ended up anywhere. He was just, we were fortunate enough he ended up here with us. So, a lot of things go on that day. It's obviously nice to go into it with the favorite, but certainly it makes you feel pretty good about the position you're in.
From the likely favorite to one of the likely second or third choices, we shift gears to sovereignty. And if journalism is King Kong, sovereignty might be Godzilla. In the old movies, Tony, there were two different endings to the movie. One at the end where King Kong pops out of the water, the other at the end where Godzilla does the same.
We shall see how it turns out for Saturday of May. Nice racehorse here, ladies and gentlemen. Sovereignty he's looked pretty good in the afternoons, and he's been training pretty good here in the mornings as well.
Yeah, a little bit of a concern earlier in the week on Thursday. He was washy. You see it, noticeably washy on the neck and the kidney area. Not quite as bad on Friday, April the 25th. And then he had a workout on Saturday. That was April the 26th, and he walked off clean after the workout, despite the stress of having to do a little bit of extra that particular day. I reached out to Samantha Perry from Gulfstream Park, and she said that behind the gate before the Florida Derby, he was very washy. He did run second that particular day, so maybe this is something that's just particularly usual and noticeable for him. On Saturday, looks good again after the breeze. It was Sunday, yesterday after the work. Here's the work from yesterday. We'll take a look at how he looks coming off the track here in just a moment. But again, Tony, you've been on this horse. There's a workmate here. He absolutely destroys the workmate and just keeps doing what he's been doing since he arrived at Churchill Downs, a racetrack we already know that he likes.
Yeah, he was sensational to conclude his 2-year-old campaign. I love the Fountain of Youth. The final furlong was incredible. Gulfstream Park, short run to the wire, a speed favoring surface. That final furlong, it looked like Pegasus ready to sprout wings the way he just was leveling off, and I thought the Florida Derby was equally as impressive.
James, this horse is going to be, second or third choice. Second choice in Mike Battaglia's morning line. Your thoughts on Sovereignty?
Sovereignty was still a maiden when he came to Churchill in late October, and I just loved his turn of foot in that street sense. He basically passed nearly the entire field on the far turn. Didn't run again until March 1st in the Fountain of Youth, and in both the Fountain of Youth and the Florida Derby, he kicked it in. He didn't kick his late kick in till like nearing the end of the far turn, and just finished up so strong. It's all about getting a peak effort this Saturday. I think those two races have him sitting on his potential career best, and I think Bill Mott's been real pleased with what he's seen from Sovereignty.
From our vantage point, certainly looks like this horse is flourishing. And James mentioned Bill Mott. Let's find out what he's thinking about how this horse is coming into the race.
Sovereignty's doing good. He had a great work. I mean, we purposely didn't let him go as quickly as we did the other day. I mean, last time he was, he was out 3/4 and 1:12 and 4, 7/8 and 25, and we just wanted to keep him in the rider's hands today, which he was. And he was, I think the official clockers had him 1:01 and 4, which that's fast enough. There's no need to go faster than that today. He's a good horse. He's proven he's run over the track. We've got to prove we can go 1.25 miles, but he indicates that, his running style, that there's a good chance that could happen. And, he's just coming into the race in very good order. And he's proven himself in the afternoon. He's a good horse. My only hopes were, I really wouldn't have wanted the 1 or the 2 post, but anything outside of that would have been fine. I think, we have no choice in the matter, so I don't know if I would have chosen anything differently. Gets out on the track or in the paddock. I mean, sometimes he'll get a little warm, but I would expect him to, because he's a bit of a high-strung horse. I mean, he's got high energy, good energy, and sometimes he'll sweat a little bit. You'll see him sometimes coming off the track after a gallop, but I'm not worried about that because that's kind of usual for him.
Sovereignty and off the pace type and Kentucky Derby 151, and there seems to be a nice balance this year of off the pace types that have a shot on paper, stalkers that also have a chance, and then the speed, and the speed's drawn to the inside, including the Wood Memorial winner Rodriguez. Tony.
Yeah, he really responded with the equipment change, probably moving across country, facing a little bit easier competition didn't hurt either. He's coming into this race in fine fashion as well.
Take a look at a solo drill from him with exercise rider Eric Garcia aboard. 12-1, 24-1, 36-1 quick, 47-3, out in 112-3, 127. Big work, nice gallop out. Seems to get maybe a little bit distracted, Tony, though, particularly at the end of the work into the gallop out.
Yeah, it seemed we saw a little bit of distraction, and as you mentioned pre-show, that's probably why the blinkers were on early on in the career.
Let's send it to James Scully. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, a good-looking horse, definitely a horse that exits a career best. Got to worry a little bit about maybe him regressing off of a big number in that Wood Memorial, and it's hard for me to see him rating in the Kentucky Derby, Joe, because he lost ground in the stretch when trying to rate in the Lewis and the San Felipe. Improved significantly, showing speed in the Wood Memorial, but it's going to be a tough task. A lot of speed around him. He's got Neoquist and Citizen Bull to his inside and American Promise to his immediate outside. So I expect Mike Smith to send Rodriguez at the start of the Kentucky Derby.
Thanks, James. There were no works where they were using a target for Rodriguez like they did for Citizen Bull when Bob thought he was going to take the blinkers off, right? Bob decided to keep the blinkers on Citizen Bull, and there he is. He looks like a bull. He's well muscled out. He's kind of compact compared to some of the other athletes that we've seen, but certainly making a nice impression, Tony.
Bob's in a pretty good spot because he's going to have both his horses forwardly positioned, and it's going to be interesting to see which one is on the lead. Good luck trying to make a move up the rail with this big guy on the inside post.
It's going.
He's going, but is Rodriguez going too? So, something's got to give. Bob's not going to send him head and head. But this guy's a big individual. He's on the inside post, and if Rodriguez is actually in front of him, Citizen Bull could save the rail and just keep anyone like Brian trying to make that move like he did last year.
Let's visualize this. Citizen Bull glued to the rail. Rodriguez maybe floating out a little bit on that first turn.
That too.
Very easily happen.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at a great offer courtesy of Twin Spires. And again, this did begin opening night, which was Saturday, and thanks for everyone that came. What a great way to kick off the season here at Churchill with opening night, the draw for the Oaks and the Derby, and live racing resumes Tuesday with Champions Day here at Churchill. And the money back offer from Twin Spires is simple. Make sure you opt in. If you bet a horse to win in the eligible races and they run second or third, you'll get up to $10 back. Some insurance on your win bets, whether you're betting favorites or long shots or somewhere in between. Make sure you opt in and make sure you play the races at Twin Spires, the official betting partner of the Kentucky Derby. Crowd beginning to gather here at Churchill Downs. Don't forget, this is Dawn at the Downs. Welcome to all of you that are enjoying a beautiful breakfast. Will it be a tastastic first Saturday in May? We'll find out more about him right after this.
Place your bets with Twin Spires Handicapping Insights, our expert picks, or just by choosing a name that catches your eye. No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires. Get your money back if your horse finishes second or third in eligible races.
Like the Kentucky Derby, Woodford Reserve Bourbon is a spectacle for the senses.
We are back on the Kentucky Derby morning workout show, about 10-12 minutes away from the designated training period for the Kentucky Oaks and Derby horses. Again, some workers expected this morning, Citizen Bull by Aza amongst them. As we take a look at the conditions, 53 degrees, but on the rise fast. Beautiful morning here in Louisville to continue Kentucky Derby week. And Tony, we get to see some workouts today, cold battle as well. With the weather we had over the weekend kind of trickling in a little bit, horses on different schedules. So it's nice on a Monday we get to see some live works.
Yeah, you know, the inclement weather on Saturday making a couple more works yesterday and today. Pretty cool. Normally you get that 7-day routine, 7 days out, but these are maintenance moves. They're not going to be asking a lot from these horses this late, this close to the Derby.
It's a journey for the trainers, the horses, the owners, and the jockeys on the road to the Kentucky Derby. It begins way back in September. We've been following along the journey of Jose Ortiz, releasing a new episode early in the morning each day, and those episodes continue again here this morning and again tomorrow morning. Let's check in with that.
The process through the Kentucky Derby is complicated.
Disco time on the outside, magnitudes in tight quarters.
You're trying to get the best horse you can.
He's good, he just don't have that quick.
You got several other top riders trying to do the same thing to find the right one.
Magnitude at 43 to 1, wire to wire the Resistar.
We're gonna start flying and go to wherever we gotta go to, trying to get another 3-year-old.
If you don't know Jose's story and the run up to the Derby, that's going to be an interesting chapter because he was on Magnitude, right? We'll let you check out the episode to find out exactly what happened.
Don't give it away, Joe.
No, I mean, it's a journey. There were certainly some bumps in the road for Jose before he officially picked up his Kentucky Derby mount. A great series. Check out Journey to the Derby featuring Jose Ortiz. We saw Magnitude there, tour de force in the Risen Star. He's not here for the Kentucky Derby. He was injured following the running of that race, but Steve Asmus has got 2 shots, including Tistastic, the winner of the Louisiana Derby.
Yeah, and he looked good. That was the furthest race of his career, 1 mile and 3/16, and he responded nicely, had a little trouble in the Rebel. Not a bad second to Sovereignty in the street sense. A horse that will benefit with the expected fast pace.
Now, Publisher's been handling Tistastic in the mornings when they've been going in company. They both went solo yesterday. Here's Tistastic, Tony, and again, deeper out the back closer, and you know, it remains to be seen if he can handle Churchill Downs as well as the Andos Fairgrounds, because he was very good at that racetrack.
I think he's better now than he was when he was here at Churchill in October and November. He put it all together with that 1 mile and 3/16. And Steve keeps talking about how the 1.25 miles is right up his alley. He's a good-looking individual, nice big stride, and I was a little discouraged the way Publisher handled him with ease, but you know, the more you really evaluate it, perhaps Publisher's just a better horse in the morning. Maybe he just has a little bit more early foot.
50 1/5, but this is what Steve Asmussen wanted, just a leg stretcher, very easy work. Let's hear from Steve about his Kentucky Derby duo.
He's doing extremely well. I thought he looked beautiful over the racetrack this morning. Pretty generous for him, wanting to go somewhere. Came back into the barn with very good energy. He's got a nice little pep in his step walking around the barn. And like I said, we're very excited about the possibility of being an extremely fast-paced race and feeling like we have a horse that will appreciate every inch of 1.25 miles. I think that, you know, everybody talk breakout race being the Louisiana Derby, but if the Louisiana Derby would have been 1 mile and 16th, he'd have probably been 4th or 5th again. You know, I think that the distance is what has put him in the position that he's in coming into the Derby. He just unflappable. I mean, he's just as quiet and as peaceful and as kind, and you could walk him the wrong way 3 rounds, he would never lift his head or wonder how far you're going or anything. You turn him around and go the right way. The second you unsnap him, he's light on his feet and just somewhat actually aggressive when he goes the right way. But his patience, you know, I don't think, you know, cool may not be the right adjective for him and stuff. He's just laid back and has tremendous mental patience. We need him to get, ironically, we need him to get going a little quicker, just the first step. I think he's giving away more than, you know, than he's overcome his first step away from there. And, you know, it's put him in a position that he's having to try to get back something that he gave away so easily. But I think with the pageantry, 150, 160,000 people will be extremely happy with how much of it he saves for the race.
Steve Asmussen, cool, calm, collected, and jovial. Let's go from a couple of the closers to another likely pace factor in the Kentucky Derby in East Avenue. Maybe the winner of the Kentucky Derby draw with post position number 12, Tony. They've tried to put him behind targets. We'll see it again here in a moment from his work from yesterday. Maybe he's going to sit fourth or fifth after this is a horse that we thought certainly would be on or near the lead.
Well, he was training at fairgrounds with this kind of style, sitting behind a rival. He was second in the early stages of the Risen Star. It was a perfect trip. He just didn't finish the race with any enthusiasm. I've wanted him to learn how to ration his speed early, sit a trip, and come with a run. At least he has a post position that he has a good opportunity to do that.
As we bring in James Scully. James, this horse was the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. That didn't go well. His 3-year-old debut in the Risen Star went horribly, quite honestly. Blinkers go on in the Bluegrass. We saw the horse that we thought he might be earlier on in the year.
Yeah, we did in the Bluegrass. Now, the one thing about the Bluegrass with East Avenue is he was a real impressive winner of the Grade 1 Breeders for Charity last fall, but it was still a race that he had to have after that clunker in the Risen Star. Just given how well he's run in the 3 races when he's been on the lead, I just can't envision him being behind horses. He might be sitting second or third, but I expect him to be in the clear.
Jojo Go, not to be confused with Go Joe Go. 59-2. A nice work made on the inside. East Avenue handles him late, but had to work a little bit to get past there in the final stages. East Avenue post 12 should be in that forward chasing queue. Here's trainer Brendan Walsh.
I thought he worked well, Megan, as well as you would want a horse to work. But it's not unlike him, he's normally a very good workhorse, and he rarely, if ever, has a bad day. So very happy to get it over with, and hopefully he comes out of it okay, and we're ready to roll. That horse, he's primarily a sprinter. He's a very good workhorse actually, and I just wanted to sit off him a little bit just to give the horse a chance early on and just progress in the work, and that's what he did on the clock. So it's all good. There's no negative to it at all. It's a nice draw, a lot of speed down inside him. So yeah, it's a good draw. I'd be very happy with it.
Trainer Brendan Walsh had Pluska Parfait and also ran in the Kentucky Derby a couple of years ago. He's had some very nice horses, though, over the recent years, including Maxfield. There you see the renovation ongoing, just moments away from the designated training period for the Oaks and Derby horses. Again, welcome to all of you who are here for Dawn at the Downs. You'll get to see Cole Battle in just a moment or two. He's expected to work this morning. Tony, 5-time winner already coming into the Derby.
Yeah, nearly $1.2 million. There he is, live Cole Battle. What a cool story, huh? Debuting at 5 furlongs at Evangeline Downs, originally scheduled for the turf, and here he is ready to run 1.25 miles at Churchill Downs.
No, one of the best stories in the Derby for sure, as we send it down to Caitlin Free, who is trackside, and this is a throwback horse to say the least, and a throwback trainer as well, Caitlin.
It absolutely is. I have had a great time getting to know Lonnie Briley as well as his assistant Bethany. They've just been a pleasure here on the backside. And there was one thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about Cole Battle that's maybe something outside of what he's doing on the racetrack. There's an organization here in Louisville called Operation Open Arms. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing care for kids with their mothers being incarcerated. So this is something that they've done where the kids have kind of picked out a Derby horse every year to quote unquote adopt. So this is what the horse here that they've adopted is Cole Battle. So the kids were able to come back, spend some time with Cole Battle on the backside yesterday. He's got pictures hanging all over the barn that they've drew of him. It was just really heartwarming and really cool to see.
No, that's great. I love the exposure to horse racing, people and horses. Horses can certainly be very therapeutic. We see Cole Battle, Citizen Bull expected to work, and also coming in from Southern California, horse on the outside looking in. We're looking very forward to seeing this move, Tony, by Asa for John Sheriffs, who does need a defection still.
He does need a defection, and we are looking very forward to this move coming up. I think he needs to show us something. The recent move, a little uninspiring.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens if he doesn't make it into the Kentucky Derby field. We've got the designated training time for the Oaks and Derby horses coming up. It is just moments away. The anticipation continues to build. We'll be right back.
As they head to the backstretch, it's a tight pack.
He's going to pull ahead. The Twin Spires expert picks were all optimistic.
You've got the best speed rating in the field. Don't fail me now.
Man, I love this horse's name.
And from far behind, here comes Frank. It's neck and neck. Frank is winning. Frank wins!
Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires, the official betting partner of the Kentucky Derby. Get your money back if your horse finishes second or third in eligible races.
Longines, longtime supporter and sponsor of the Kentucky Oaks and Woodford Reserve of the Kentucky Derby. We thank all of our sponsors for this year's Oaks and Derby as we get closer and closer. And we thank all of the people on the backstretch. You see all those cameras. This is when it really starts, Tony. You got the radio crews and the TV crews back out on the backstretch. You see a lot more people as we get into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Derby, Oaks and Derby days, obviously Friday and Saturday. But the buzz continues to build, and it's getting louder and louder back there. And this is one of the reasons why Citizen Bull expected to work this morning.
You know, and now's a good time to really see how these horses respond. A little bigger crowd, a little more people they have to deal with on the backstretch than they have been. And boy, they're going to have to deal with a big crowd on Saturday, that's for sure.
Let's send it back to Caitlin. You talked about the blinkers staying on. It looks like the blinkers are going to be on for this work, Caitlin, as well. He did work without the blinkers when he had a target. Actually, I thought he raced or worked well that particular morning in Southern California. But when he worked solo, he had the blinkers back on, so I was a little bit confused. Bob cleared up that confusion with his entry on Saturday.
Yeah, he absolutely did. I was able to catch up with Bob after the post position trial. Citizen Bull drawing post 1. I asked him about the blinkers, whether they were going to be on or off. He told me blinkers are going to stay on for Citizen Bull in the Kentucky Derby. He said he was dancing around maybe taking them off. He decided to leave them on. He said he was really glad that he did after this horse drawing post position number 1. So my guess is going to be obviously to go forward with Citizen Bull. Didn't want to take his best weapon away from him, but he doesn't have very thick blinkers on, just very small cup type of blinkers, almost French cup blinkers. And there you see Martin Garcia aboard. He's going to be on board in the Derby. He's going to be on board for the work.
Yeah, good point about the extension of the blinker cup there, Caitlin. Not very much of one. There you see Todd Pletcher, bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Steve Hargrave, who does a great job here at Churchill Downs as the track superintendent. And the horses are stepping out on the racetrack. Let's get James Scully's impressions of Citizen Bull.
I think he's just looked fantastic since he arrived. You know, he took a little bit of a step back in the Santa Anita Derby off a 2-month layoff. This will be his 4th work in the last 23 days, Joe. Bob Baffert worked him 8 days after the race, and then he's worked him twice 5 days later. So really, I expect a maintenance move. I mean, a lot of work's already been put into Citizen Bull since the Santa Anita Derby, and you know, he's responded positively by all physical signs.
James, you got kind of eased you into the workout show, your first appearance here. These horses live coming out on the racetrack. You're fired up. Ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely, and it's exciting to see these California horses, Citizen Bull and Baeza this morning. Really excited to see how they're moving. I mean, Citizen Bull, that rail draw, you guys talked about it. It's going to be wild to see how they play it from the inside.
Take a look at Grande for Todd Pletcher. You know, there's been years where he's had 5, 4, 3 representatives, Tony, in the Kentucky Derby. Just the one this year. And this is a lightly raced horse. 3 races, got into the Derby with a 2nd place performance in the Wood Memorial. Didn't have a single point before then. God, I just keep visualizing how this is going to play out on Saturday and moving forward. You know, Todd likes to win. The Belmont likes to run horses. There hardly ever runs in the Preakness. To me, I got a real strong feeling this is going to be one of the favorites when we go 1.25 miles at Saratoga again this year, right?
Yeah, I like that. I like that thought of yours. A nice horse. I thought he ran well in defeat in the Wood Memorial. He was kind of against it, and he was one of the only horses running on with interest in the final quarter of a mile. So he gets a good pace flow expected in the Derby. Just inexperience, only his 4th career start. I mean, not even Curlin, his sire, could win the Kentucky Derby in his 4th start.
And just one work since the Wood Memorial. I thought it was good, not earth-shattering. Coal Battle and we're going to send it back to Caitlin again with Coal Battle, just making another great impression on the racetrack. Controlled energy. He's going to work again today. Caitlin, it's not a horse that's going to bowl you over with his works, but he does things pretty smoothly and effortlessly. And man, what a great story he's been.
The last workout that he had here, Lonnie Briley was quoted as saying he went faster than he was expecting, but he and Bethany don't really set times for this horse. He just kind of goes out there and he goes as fast as he wants to. So the fact that he went 47 and change, they were surprised by that. He usually doesn't work that fast. They just said he's really taken well to the track. He's feeling good. He's certainly reflecting that again this morning. He was over here by the clocker stand with me for a moment. He kind of spooked for a second, which isn't very typical of him, but there are a lot of people over here. So something kind of freaked him out a little bit, but he is looking fantastic.
James, real quick, put a bow on Citizen Coal Battle. Excuse me, he should be in that chasing queue behind all the speed.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at him, he's going to be in that second flight looking to get run. Lonnie Briley, 72 years old, has never attended the Kentucky Derby. What a great story.
Go back to Citizen Bull. Both of these horses, Coal Battle and Citizen Bull, expected to work this morning, so we're going to definitely keep our eyes peeled on them. And Citizen Bull, again, we've talked about, the shortcut blinkers he has there, the rail draw, the speed, the return of Bob Baffert, lots going on with Citizen Bull. Very curious to see how much he does in this work this morning, Tony.
Well, as Scully mentioned, this is going to be his 4th workout since the Santa Anita Derby. So you would have to think this is going to be just an easy, steady Eddie maintenance type of move.
It's Baffert, though.
You
talk about foundation. He certainly isn't going to be lacking any of that.
Well, he needs it because he came up empty in the Santa Anita Derby, and he desperately needed that race. That was only his first start since early February out of the Bob Lewis. I think it's going to be a nice, easy move. Boy, he is appropriately named, that's for sure. He is a thick individual.
Yeah, aptly named Citizen Bull. I believe it has something to do with a watch that he's named for, but he looks like he's ready to run through a brick wall.
3rd and 1, I know who I'm giving the ball to.
Yeah, good point. Good point. He's the short yardage thoroughbred in this year's Kentucky Derby for sure. 3rd and 1. 4th and 2, I'm giving him the ball, too.
Well, it's funny. We're trying to evaluate workouts. We're looking at past performances, and now we're trying to evaluate tactics. The first turn, Citizen Bull and Rodriguez. How about the far turn, Citizen Bull against the rail? I mean, how do you have the guts to try to pass this horse on the inside at the 3/8? That's a tight spot.
Not too aggressive going to the pole here, James. You got a good view of this.
You're right. Definitely not pushing the gas pedal at all. Just opening his lungs up and, just making a good impression. Champion 2-year-old colt. He's already had, this will be his 6th stakes appearance in the Derby. Seasoning isn't a factor. Just Baffert wants to have him as sharp as possible on Saturday.
We'll get the times here once these workouts are complete. Again, Baeza is supposed to work a little bit later. Again, during the designated training period, but we'll get him, we'll get Coal Battle, and Baeza. Those are the 3, and a little bit of a nudge here in the Gallopot. But this is what you see on a regular basis, Tony.
It's a strong move. The one thing I've been so impressed with this 3-year-old crop, just the size of these horses, the definition. They just all have good-looking bodies. I mean, they're all physically put together the way you would want a nice 3-year-old trying to get to the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, and James, Bob Baffert has won this race 6 times, tied with Ben Jones for most all-time. It's interesting, though, he's got 2 representatives with the same running styles, both with inside posts.
Yeah, both with inside post and sort of different. One of them's coming off a big win. The other one's trying to bounce back. But I do think that Citizen Bull is a rebound candidate. Baffert's had 2 of his 6 Derby winners lose their final prep. I think he's very intriguing. If he had drawn a better post, I'd like him more, though.
I will get those times when they become available. Let's take a look at Cole Battle settling into his move. A little bit different, Caitlin, than we saw with Citizen Bull. He's a lot more aggressive going into the pole.
Yeah, this is a horse that he has been just on the muscle ever since he got here, and in the best way, I would say. This is, I believe, in my opinion, there's some pretty smart horses in this year's Derby. I think this is the most intelligent horse in this year's Kentucky Derby. Just the way he carries himself, the way he's calm. He will get out here, whether he's standing in the chute or he's standing in the gap, and just look around, take everything in. He'll look at cameras, pose. He's just a really cool horse for a lot of reasons.
Here you see Cole Battle in the midst of his work, a blitz of a work, Tony, for Citizen Bull, 58-2, going nice and easy, just less than a week before the Derby.
That was impressive because it didn't look like a 58-2 move early. It did kind of look that way late. The horse just covers the ground beautifully. And here's Cole Battle, another horse that's getting over the racetrack very nicely.
A little bit of urging here, though.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. I mean, unfortunately, we just saw a really awesome move from Citizen Bull, so this one's not going to stand out as much.
James, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, he went real easy early and, got asked a little bit to pick it up finishing. But, another solid move. And, this is a horse that has that run style we talked about earlier, just sitting right off the speed. Might be in position to make that first run at the before the deep closers.
Track Superintendent Jamie Richardson doing a wonderful job keeping this track in great shape. The turf was in great shape for opening night as well. Looking very forward to live racing continuing on Tuesday. And sorting things out on the backstretch, we saw Steve Hargrave earlier, the senior director of the stable area. Both gentlemen been around here a long time. And there you see Baeza. This was moments ago. And again, lightly raced Tony with Baeza. He's not in the Kentucky Derby field right now. He needs one defection. This is the first time that he's worked here at Churchill Downs.
Yeah, and he's had he's had a couple of works since the Santa Anita Derby. Recently, he went 7 furlongs in 128. I said uninspiring, probably a bad choice of word. I have a question mark with him. Will he regress off that big number from the Santa Anita Derby? Here's another relatively inexperienced horse. He just graduated 2 starts ago. John trains a lot differently than Bob. Bob always has his horses ask for speed, so here we were thinking maybe a maintenance move from Citizen Bull, and you said it is Bob. John trains in a far different manner, and he's going to have this horse really leveling off at the wire and especially through the gallop out.
The damn Puka has been absolutely incredible, James, as a producer. We talked about Mage, former Kentucky Derby winner. Dornock ran in the Kentucky Derby last year, eventually won the Belmont. This horse has got a ton of upside moving forward.
He certainly does. No mare has produced 3 consecutive Kentucky Derby starters. If Baeza gets in, he'll do that for his damn Puka. And it's just unfortunate that he only has 1 stakes attempt. He didn't break his maiden until February. That only left time for Shreffs to get 1 prep in it. Might be a race short, but one thing about him, he's a great-looking horse. I mean, a real long and just looks the part for Shreffs.
Talk about March Madness and, the committee and who gets in and who doesn't get in, who's on the bubble, who should have been in the tournament field. We have a point system here. You know what the rules are in the point system going in. I would love to see Baeza in the Kentucky Derby as well, but the point system is the point system. It's not like a committee is deciding that he is in or out. So just my 2 cents on that. And there's been some little tweaks to the point system year by year, and it's always revisited during the offseason. Here's Grande going to the starting gate. You talk about Grande. He is a big horse. He's probably named Grande because of that. Kentucky Derby starting gate, it's a little bit tighter than some of the early, the other gates. This is just, the training gate, so to speak, Tony. But again, it allows the assistant starters to get used to Grande and Grande to get used to them.
It's only beneficial for everybody. The horse, the jockey that will eventually be in the saddle, and equally as important, the crew on the starting gate, because their safety is very important to all of us. So this is good. I love it when horses do that. I think it's just it's very intelligent, smart on Todd's.
You'll see a lot of paddock schooling, too, as we bring Caitlin back in. All the schooling is important. We talked about the gate schooling. These horses have little idiosyncrasies. You cannot replicate, Caitlin, the environment that we're going to have here on Oaks and Derby Day when you school in the paddock, but at least horses are somewhat used to their surroundings by the time the day comes around.
That's absolutely right. I think it's something that's very important, not only to gate school, do the paddock schooling, but horses to get out and gallop every morning. Of course, they have walk days after they have a day after a workout, but to get out and gallop out, just take a look at everything. I think that's especially important because there's something new every day. Derby week, there's a ton of tents that are set up today that maybe weren't set up yesterday. There's stuff set up outside of the paddock. They've added some flowers to the paddock, and I mean, something like as simple as something like that can really spook a horse like that. But so it's something that's important to get your horses out there every single day. And here is Good Cheer, continues to make a fantastic impression every single morning. She galloped by me earlier going down into the chute, and I haven't moved an inch on her. I love her in the Oaks.
There she is galloping this morning. Let's pass it over to James Scully. They like to call me the point guard on this show, James, and in crunch time, I'm going to you, bud.
Good cheer. I mean, just 6 for 6 and just has done everything right so far. The one thing I do like is that when she's been able to sit closer when necessary, I expect her to be farther back in the Oaks because there's plenty of pace signed on. It's a matter of whether she can get the trip from the back because she's definitely the horse to beat.
I've got some workout times for you guys. So Citizen Bull 58 and 1/5, and he goes 11-3. 23, 45 and 4, 58 and 2, gallops out 112 and 2, 127 and 1, the gallop out time for 7 furlongs. And the difference in workouts here, Tony, Baeza, 13 and 3, 26 and 2, 37 and 4, 102, 116. Much more even work for him. Coal Battle 11 and 3, 36 flat, and then gallops out 50 and 1. And there was a little nudging there in the stretch for Coal Battle, but three completely different workouts that we saw this morning.
Yeah, you know, we talk about how Citizen Bull has needed to do that because he has only had one start since the Bob Lewis, and even though it's 5 days out from the Derby, you know, Bob's been doing that with him, so I like it. He's keeping him on the same routine. That was a very impressive move.
Caitlin talked earlier to trainer Ethan West about why he kept him at Turfway to train. He said, you know, that's the horse's home. That's where he's comfortable. This is my first opportunity to see him in a gallop here at Churchill Downs as we send it back to James Scully. Good energy. You know, and Ethan was right, too. I mean, he knows the horse can handle dirt based on the way he ran in the Risen Star and in the Louisiana Derby. Fairgrounds dirt, Churchill dirt, you know, there are differences. There are horses for courses. We don't know how much he's going to love Churchill compared to Fairgrounds, but seems to be energy-wise, James, coming into this in the right way.
Yeah, and I thought Ethan West made a great point to Caitlin about how when he got to the dirt at Fairgrounds, he felt the chunk of gold really leveled out more than he did on the Depettit at Turfway. His race, you know, he's been an off-the-pace runner in all 4 starts, but he did sit within a few lengths of the lead in 5th in the early stage of the Louisiana Derby, and I think they've got to hustle him a little bit from the gate, Joe, from post being drawn outside. He's going to look to, you know, probably be that same trip as Coal Battle and Grande potentially, sitting right off the early leaders in that second pack.
A few years ago, Rich Strike won the Kentucky Derby. He didn't make many appearances on the Kentucky Derby morning workout show, and he won the Kentucky Derby. And we were like, wow, A, we didn't think he was going to get in. B, we didn't think he, you know, had a punter's chance of winning. Render Judgment's resume is better, Tony, than that long shot Kentucky Derby winner's was. Here he is here. There was some question whether or not he was going to run. Once he got a post position, Kenny talked it over with the owners, said that we're going to go. This is the kind of horse that, to me, has trained better than he's run in the afternoons. Maybe he's still got a little bit more upside. Maybe similar to Tiz-Tastic and what we saw from him in the Louisiana Derby.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of him. He gets into the race via the second place finish in the Virginia Derby. That's a 1-turn mile and 1/8 affair. He's still eligible for a non-2L like Rich Strike was. At least he has a victory over the surface around 2 turns, but boy, he's really going to have to run a career best at this level of competition.
I'm curious if the stablemate take charge Milady as we bring Caitlin back in, if she is on the racetrack. She's been battling a quarter crack, Caitlin. Last year, McPeak won the Oaks and the Derby. This year, he's got a contender for the Oaks who's having some issues. You know, in the lead up, and then Render Judgment is more of a long shot. What a difference a year makes.
Yeah, what a difference a year makes. Render Judgment is co-owned by Dream Walkin' Farm that was Toby Keith's farm. It was always Toby's dream to get a horse to the Kentucky Derby. He finally gets one. He's going to have the best seat in the house this year. But getting back to Take Charge, My Lady, I was able to catch up with Kenny McPeak at the post position draw. I didn't see her out here this morning, but that's not to say she wasn't. She comes out from a way different gap that I can't see, so she may have been on the track. But when I caught up with Kitty, he was very transparent about the abscess she's been battling. He said it already had popped. It was kind of up near the coronary band, which is where the skin and the hair of the leg meet the hoof. It's where the hoof grows actually out of the coronary band. So he said it's healing quite well, but definitely going to be a wait and see type of thing for her. And there is Luxor Cafe schooling here in the paddock, and good to see some other schoolers besides Cole Battle on the paddock. Expect to see the Japanese schooling quite a bit over the next few days.
I haven't seen as much of this horse, as I would like when it comes to the morning activity, and I'm sure, the way they train, we're probably going to see a lot more activity maybe from him, I would think, tomorrow. But, a wild card coming in for me, Tony, and still in that wild card category at this point leading up to the Derby.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of walking in the chutes, so now walking in the paddock, and I like him schooling in the paddock. I'm a big proponent of horses that school in the gate, school in the paddock. It's only beneficial. Liked his turn of foot in his most recent race, but I just don't know a lot about the Japanese competition.
Both of the Japanese horses likely to do a little something more tomorrow. There you see Admire Daytona. It's interesting to see a horse schooling with a rider on his back in the paddock as well. A lot of times when you see him schooling, you've got a hot walker, maybe even the trainer on the shank, and just kind of showing the horse around, but on horseback. And these horses are, as you saw by Luxor Cafe in the paddock there in Admire Daytona, not high strung whatsoever, just kind of cool, calm, and collected. And the Japanese trainers, we've seen it over the last several years. They have their own program, and they've already shown a good degree of success. And we're seeing horses that just like they're true, look like they're true pros.
Yeah, no, they seem to handle everything. I don't really know what to gauge of either of them. They seem to be in my training mode of late, just walking. I haven't been able to get a lot more training in than I'd like with the busy schedule, but
I think we need to send you to Baffert's barn, Tony. I think that's the next move. Trainer change for Tony Kalo.
If Baffert took over my training, watch out. Don't call it a comeback.
Would he put the blinkers on you?
He would have to do a lot of things. I'm getting a little bit up there in years, Joe.
I have to throw a shadow roll on you too. All right, this is Admire Daytona doing exactly what we just saw Luxor Cafe do.
Yeah.
Let's send it back to Caitlin if we can with Admire Daytona. This horse has been here a lot longer than Luxor Cafe, Caitlin, and he doesn't have the resume of Luxor Cafe, but we'll see how they progress as the week goes on and we get closer to Saturday.
I've said this every time I've had an opportunity to talk about this horse. I think he is extremely underrated in this race. And yes, he's a speedy type of a horse. I think he's being written off as a speed horse, though, because he doesn't need the lead. I expect him to be in a pressing or a stalking type of a position. You guys mentioned riders being up on the backs of these horses here in the paddock. I don't know if you remember this last year, but when Forever Young would school, there was a couple of times that trainer Yoshida Yahagi would ride on his back in the paddock. So this is something that happens all the time with Japanese horses when they do paddock schooling.
Yeah, I mean, early on when they were sending horses over here, James, I questioned it over the course of the last couple of years. I'm not a trainer, and the success speaks for itself. More so than anything, James, I just find it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, last year really was an eye-opener, indicated that that they're going to keep being major players in the Derby in the years to come, running running third with Forever Young, but T.O. Password ran a really good fifth last year after blowing the brake. And Caitlin's right about Admire Daytona. He drew inside in that UAE Derby. I think he was on the lead by the dynamics of his post-draw, but he's going to be sitting, I think, up close in a good spot. He's got 4 speed horses to his inside in post 6, and right to his outside is his Japanese partner in Luxor Cafe, who's going to be coming from off the pace, but he's not a dead one-run closer. He's going to try to sit about 15th or 14th, 15th, 16th in my mind.
We're almost simulating the first turn of the Kentucky Derby with Admire Daytona in front of Luxor Cafe, Tony.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I like how they're very well composed. That's for sure. They don't seem to be the moment's not too big right now.
Yeah, not turning a hair whatsoever. And, what speaks to the international horses, Luxor Cafe, he had been campaigned in Japan, obviously, but Admire Daytona has already been to the UAE. He has proven that he doesn't need to take his racetrack with him because he won the UAE Derby. Now he comes here to Churchill, where he has been here for a couple of weeks now, and he has had an opportunity to acclimate, which I think, for most horses can certainly be an advantage.
Yeah, without a doubt. And he did show that he is not afraid to get in a fight. He showed a lot of gameness in his recent win.
And Caitlin, Kate Hunter mentioned with Luxor Cafe, the timing of the UAE Derby was a little bit different this year, pushed a week back because of Ramadan. So that could have changed the plans and, how early Luxor Cafe might have gotten here otherwise.
Kate's absolutely right. I think that played a big role. And then, of course, the Bluegrass was pushed a couple days back. So these horses are off schedule a little bit. And also, speaking of that race and that whole day being pushed back because of Ramadan, it's going to be the same story next year. It also falls on that same type of a calendar. So it's going to be even a couple days further back next year than it was this year. So they're going to continue to push it back the next couple of years because of Ramadan over there in Dubai. So it's going to be a similar story with whoever gets over here from the UAE Derby next season.
I don't think there are any negotiations to move the Kentucky Derby to the second Saturday in May, Tony. Horses heading out now after that paddock schooling. Designated training period for the Oaks and Derby horses is coming to a close here. We saw 3 workouts, 3 completely different types of workouts, and we got to see Good Cheer, the Kentucky Oaks favorite, in a gallop as well. And we should see the 2 Japanese horses maybe with published breezes tomorrow, Tuesday. Again, they've got a program. It's not like, we're changing the way we're doing things. We're pushing these works back. This is all part of the plan.
And I like that. There's no reason to abandon the routine this late in the game. We're getting closer and closer each and every day. They know what they want to do, and they're sticking to it.
The only horse really in the Oaks and Derby that's been kind of knocked off course for the original plan is Take Charge Milady, which Caitlin had mentioned earlier. From the Oaks favorite to maybe the second choice, although Mike Battaglia doesn't see it that way, this is my pick for the Kentucky Oaks. I love Quiet Side. I love everything about her. We're going to take a look at her here momentarily. And this is moments ago as we sent it to James Scully. Drew post position number 14, James. And, you think about it when they first draw it and you're like, I don't think that's necessarily that great, but there's speed drawn to her inside. She's got natural speed. I don't think she needs to be up there, pressing the early pace setters, and there are a few of them in the Kentucky Oaks. I love the way this horse is coming into the race. She's game. She's training sensationally well, and I think she's going to get the right trip.
Yeah, pretty mischievous, drew an outside post as well. I think she was in post 13 back in 2023 when she won it, or 2022. So, she's got the tactical ability, Quiet Side, to get over and not lose too much ground going into the first turn. And her 2 races this year were just so much better than her juvenile efforts. You can make the case that those efforts will have her set for another strong showing on Friday.
All right, thanks, James. Taking a look at Quiet Side there. Love everything I've been seeing from her here recently, and I'm going to take advantage of the money back offer, not only in the Kentucky Oaks, but all week long. We started this promotion on Saturday, courtesy of Twin Spires, and again in all eligible races. Check the rules for the eligibility. It has to do with how many horses are in the race, for second and third if you bet a horse to win, Tony. And they run second or third in the eligible races, and you've opted in and played on Twin Spires, you get up to $10 back. I like to call it a little bit of an insurance on your win bet.
Yeah, Joe, you didn't really need to take advantage of this promo on Saturday.
I had a decent night.
Yeah, you had a pretty good night. I took advantage of it at a couple of my races. I think I had a few second place finishes.
Looking forward to that promotion at Twin Spires and the tournament scene as well. And I'd like to bring James Scully into this because they've just done a tremendous job with these tournaments, James, and the big one is coming up. It's been a build. I think, James, if I'm correct, there's about 55, maybe about 60 people that are already qualified for the Kentucky Derby Betting Challenge. That's not a gigantic amount. You still got some opportunities to qualify. If you want to buy in, it's going to cost you $5,000. But again, the prize pool is enormous and lots on the line.
Lots on the line, $250,000 in prizes, trips to the 2026 Kentucky Derby, seats to the BCBC National Handicapping Tournament Challenge. And you're right, there is a feeder tomorrow, Tuesday's card, into the qualifier on Thursday. Those are your last stop. Thursday is the last. There's a qualifier on Thursday, qualifier on Friday. This handicapping contest is only going to grow in size and become more and more popular. Suggest everybody that plays tournaments to check it out this weekend.
Well, thank you, James. Looking forward to getting together with James and doing our annual Monday trip to the backstretch. We like to go bounce around. Always like to visit with the coach, Dwayne Lucas, who tells great stories. Here's some insight on American Promise and just what he's thinking about this year's crop, Tony. But, we got to see some great action again on the racetrack this morning.
Yeah, we did. Citizen Bull, ultra impressive with that move. Burnham Square, Citizen Bull, they may be getting into my superfecta now. I'm going to stick with my top two with Journalism and Sovereignty, but still days to really sort it all out.
Continuing to update our top 10 list on the Kentucky Derby website. You can click on Expert Picks to find Tony, Caitlin, myself, also Kevin Kilroy, James Scully, and Vance Hansen and Kelly Riley as well. And speaking of James Scully, let's get some final thoughts from you, James. First day on the work show, you got a great view. What did you see out there today? All right, we'll get back to James hopefully here in a moment or two. Some issues with his microphone. Let's get Caitlin Free's final thoughts. Caitlin, I know Coal Battle is a horse that you've kind of been fond of. Got to see him with his work today and a couple of the others as well. What were your impressions?
Well, Coal Battle, as you said, continues to be one that is on my list. Citizen Bull, ever since he has gotten here since last Thursday, he's been a horse that I have just loved what I have seen from him physically as well as on the racetrack. He continues to move up on my list, and I've long preferred him to Rodriguez. I think that was even more solidified by the workout today. I like that Bob is going to keep the blinkers on. I don't think he would have chosen to draw post position number 1 with that horse, but with the blinkers staying on with him, I don't think it's going to be as much of a detriment as possible that it could have been, but Citizen Bull, definitely one that I have enjoyed seeing on the racetrack, and a lot of good impression from the Oaks horses again this morning. Good cheer, certainly won.
All right, Caitlin, we've got James Scully back in good order up on the 4th floor. We'll get his final thoughts. James? Somebody hit the mute button on James Scully. Sometimes I wish I had that mute button during the course of the week with James and he gets fired up, but not now.
I had never met James until last year, and it was Kentucky Oaks Day, and it's like 5:30, 6 o'clock, and he was just way too energized, and I'm just like, I had to go hide. I had to go hide and find my own corner.
James Scully will be back with us tomorrow. We'll get more of his insight, Tony. But again, we talked about the post position. We saw the work from Citizen Bull. He's got the rail. He's got blinkers. He is going. Rodriguez, post position number 4, also for Bob Baffert, has an opportunity maybe to go a little bit wide on that first turn. Citizen Bull should be on the lead, saving the ground, and they'll let the race play out from there. That's kind of sort of the way I see it.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
I think he kind of agrees
I'm done.
with me.
We need to mute my mic.
That's going to wrap it up. Champions Day tomorrow. Live racing continues. But before that, we got the morning workout show once again, 6:45 a.m. Looking forward to having you join us for that. The Japanese duo should be doing quite a bit more than we've seen in recent days on the Tuesday of Kentucky Derby week. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'll see you again tomorrow.